and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
John Clark,
Here.
Rick Robertson,
Here.
Amanda Hunter,
Here.
Joan David,
Here.
Nancy Conley, all present and accounted for.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
I second it.
Okay, motion by David, supported by Conley to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 5-0. So we will be doing policy review.
Guys. Okay, so does anybody care where we start, or you want me to just start at the top?
Yeah, let's see, let's start with the first page.
I think everybody's got a different first page, so maybe start with the FOIA. John gets back. Did you get the ones I put in your box?
Did you put them in there?
Yeah, I just put them in there. They're pretty much the same, but they've got a few.
So the stuff with the crossed out is the original?
Yes, so the stuff that is crossed out was originally there, and I'm proposing to take it out. And I can go through the reason being when Joan comes back.
Do we, okay, so that's the original with the crossed out, is what you
Yes.
want taken out.
Yes.
Well, let's see.
So the first one is 5 paragraphs down on the first page. In proposing it just to read, the Township Board has established the following written procedures and guidelines to implement. It should say FOIA requests. I'm proposing to take out, and will create a written public summary of the specific procedures and guidelines relevant to the general public regarding how to submit written requests to the public and explaining how to understand a public body's written response, deposit requirements, fee calculations, and avenues for challenge and appeal. The written public summary will be written in a manner so as to be easily understood by the general public. The reason I took all of that out is because we do not currently have one.
We don't currently have what?
We don't currently have the written public summary of the specific procedures and guidelines other than this current document. So all we have currently on file for FOIAs of our procedures and stuff is this document. This is stating that we've got additional documentation that we would give to the public if they were requesting a FOIA.
Is it something that is the same that is found on the website?
I think this is all that's found on the
On
website.
FOIA.
I think this is what's found on the website,
Well,
is this
it looks-
policy. Let me double check. It's under policy.
It looks a little different. Hey, Ernie. Let's see the page.
Okay.
Okay, we've got a meeting going, but do you want to pay taxes? Do you want to take that?
Here.
That's all right, I'll come back next year.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Okay. Yeah, no, exactly what's on our website is this procedures and guidelines. We do not have anything else on our website regarding FOIAs, which is why I was suggesting to take that out, unless somebody wants to go through and write it.
Well, I hate to take it off because this was drawn together with something, I mean, it wasn't just a group of people that put this together, they used a lot of,
This was put together by MTA.
right. So to take something out at this point without investigating, taking it out, and I know there is on the website, when a request is granted and it's broken down into public records.
I was gonna
and-
say, if it's supposed to be on the website, it is not on the website. Literally, the only thing on the website regarding FOIA is this document.
I don't see taking it out right now before we investigate, and what we need to do to follow, because on the website is also the written request, how to do it.
No, it's not, Nancy. That's what I'm saying, is it's not. We don't have that. That's what I'm saying, is if we had a written request or a written, public summary of how the specific procedures and
Well, it
guidelines
says
went.
requesting a public record, and then what to do to request a public record. I took this right off the website.
Mm-hmm.
Calculation of fees, which we have to up, I don't know if they're updated on the website or not.
I was gonna say, what website? Our website, did you get that from?
Yes, I printed this right off, FOIA procedures and guidelines off the website.
Yes. Okay, so this is the written procedures and guidelines. This is not the summary of the written procedures. This is the full written procedures. We can leave that part. I don't really care. I'm just saying
I
that.
think there's a reason it's written like that, if it comes from MTA, and I can't see taking it out. Yeah, and
Okay.
I know the procedures are there in the guidelines on the website, but,
I guess all I'm saying is that if we've got this in our policy, we need to be able to give this to people when people ask for it. This is saying two different things.
I think you give them this, and this is the written summary. That's what I'm thinking, they were thinking when it was put on. When you have a FOIA request, then you can hand this to them and say, this is a written summary of what the procedures and how to request it.
Okay, but then that doesn't make sense, at least not to me, because how it's written, the township board has established the following written procedures, that's what this is, and guidelines to implement the FOIA, and will create a written public summary. This is what we were given. It's saying that we will also create a written public summary of the specific procedures and guidelines relevant to the general public regarding how to submit written requests to the public body and explaining how to understand a public body's written responses.
And that's when I give them this. This is the written, to me, this is the.
This is the written
procedure.
procedures and guidelines, but it's not the summary. This is the full written procedures and guidelines.
Right.
It's not the summary.
I just.
But if you want to keep it, we can keep it.
I think
We have
should keep
to have that public summary available. So,
I think
It
this
should
is the
be-
public summary.
It should be easy to take this and condense it down.
But to me, when I hand this to you, this is the public summary.
You know, is that all 10? Because on the
That is 10
website, it's 10 pages.
Yes, well,
yes.
2 of 10, yes. It's 10 pages, and that's what I give them, or have them referred to.
Yeah. I mean, it would seem to me that's
This is a separate
pretty
document.
simple.
Yes.
I mean, it's the procedures and guidelines. It's not the public
Right,
summary.
Right, yeah, no, no.
It's
what
not
I'm
a
saying
public
is
summary, but it's the
it could be-
procedures and
It'd
guidelines,
be
so.
easy to edit it down.
It probably would be. That was the only thing of why I was suggesting to take it out, is because we do not currently have the summary. So either we need to create the summary and have that on file.
I leave this in and create, I
Okay.
just create the summary.
Okay, so we will leave and create.
And of course, this, I had all this stuff up on it. And I had all the things from MTA about FOIA stuff and stupid battery.
Can you plug it in?
I think I'd have to run out to my vehicle with the charger. But.
Can you access it from mine?
Good.
Oh, you did fix it, right?
Huh?
You fixed it.
Darn right.
And when she gets back, I'll continue.
Mine's fixed.
Get it?
It's not recording. All right, so where are we going to
Okay.
next?
So, well, continuing on with the FOIA, so section 1, general policies, it says the township board acting pursuant to the authority at MCL 15.236 designates the clerk, and then in parentheses it says give position title. That is currently in our document. I say we take give position title out. I believe that was just a placeholder.
Do you think that would cover if I'm not available, then the deputy would do it, or the supervisor? So that's why it says give position title.
That was just their designation that states so-and-so takes on, because I believe it says he or she is authorized to designate other township staff to act on his or her behalf to accept and process all FOIA requests for the township's public records and
But don't you
programs.
think give position title covers, is included in that? So if my deputy has to do it, or Joan has to do it?
No, that's the next sentence. The give position title was, because this was a
They
blank
put that
document.
in there instead of putting the actual title, so at the
Oh,
time it didn't
Yeah.
say clerk. It just
Correct.
said-
It's like,
didn't-
it like fill in the blank.
Exactly,
It's just
it's
that
basically,
nobody-
and so we never took that out of
No, we
our
didn't,
original
okay.
policy, which is why I'm saying it
Okay.
sounds silly to have that in there on our official, policy. Then that second sentence, it says, he or she is authorized to designate other township staff to act on his or her behalf to accept and process written, or it said all written, I think, in
It
our
says written
original.
all.
Yeah, I think I might have, typed that backwards or something. But I would like to take out the word written, because FOIA requests can be verbal, per state law.
We don't take any verbal
I
requests.
don't think
Okay.
that's, yeah, I don't think.
It has to be
yeah,
written,
I think it has to be written.
has to be
Okay.
written.
All right, then we will leave written, and we'll change that back to process all written.
Yeah, because that has to, in case of
Yep,
any sort of controversy, there has to be the physical record.
I don't take anything
I
that's not
submitted that
written.
to you
and you did or did not respond, or how you responded.
I was under the impression that somebody could verbally, so a citizen could verbally say, I would like this, and then whoever is requesting it then has to write it down.
I don't do any, I don't
But
even
that's-
ask that
that's
unless
fine.
it's written.
It has to be written, and it has to have the date
Because it's
and
easy
time
for me
and
to say,
everything
well,
else.
Amanda never asked me, you know.
Yeah, has to
You're
be-
right.
you
The
know,
date.
so-
and
You're
the
right.
time.
And that's fine.
I mean, you could include, of course, most of this was written in the 1850s or something, but you could include electronic correspondence as well.
I consider that.
I was gonna say, I would
You know,
consider
to
that
say-
same as written,
Yeah, you know,
But, yeah.
or via,
but we
by
could
written
add
or-
that, all written or electronic,
yeah, that's what I was gonna say, by written and or electronic
yeah.
record.
Okay.
And we could be
Just
able
to, just to
100%.
put that in there, to make sure it's solidified so that people know, this is how we accept them, we don't accept them any other way. Then down the bolded paragraph says the FOIA coordinator shall review township spam and junk mail folders on a regular basis, which shall be no less than once a month. Then it states, the current policy states the FOIA coordinator shall work with the township information technology staff to develop administrative rules for handling spam and junk mail so as to protect township systems from computer attacks which may be embedded in an electronic FOIA request. The only reason I was suggesting that we take that out is because we do not have a township information technology staff.
Well, I do work with Luke, and I do work with the ones in Ludington. If I have a question on spam or junk mail, or the lawyer, I have contacted them on things we've received. I don't know if that, I know we don't have a staff, but we do have people that we go to, if I see something comes up, our stuff is handled through NCAS. I've called NCAS before, I've called the lawyer. So, we may want to reword it,
I think if you
Yeah.
take out the word staff, you get it
Yeah.
covered.
yeah. Because we still need something in there to regulate that, and I do, if there's a
Information.
question, or any of you others have something come in on
Well, you could
yours.
You could have staff and or consultant.
Okay, cause, and that's the only thing is
That's
like,
basically what
right
we have.
now, we don't technically have any administrative rules for handling spam and junk mail. So what that's more talking about, at least from my background, is somebody that actually handles all email. Luke does not handle all of our email, he just hosts
Right,
the server
but he-
for it.
Right, but he does, I have questioned him about stuff
Mm-hmm.
before.
So I am okay with keeping that, but I think we need to look into having somebody that actually sets up administrative rules regarding spam and junk mail, and that kind of thing.
Well, how do we know what's coming in on everything? the
So
only
that was
thing.
part of the thing when, we approved for the trustees and for the planning commission to all get emails. Luke could not give me a guarantee that he could, set up a policy within the system to save certain emails and make sure that retentions are being filed, so, I've got one quote out, I've gotta get a couple more before I submit it. I will try and have those by next week's meeting. For somebody who can actually go through and maintain the email servers and stuff so that they can keep all of that, they can check for viruses for the,
We should
junk and spam and stuff. I just feel like that's a good thing to have. And we do not have it currently. So like I said, this was before I was looking into the emails. So again, I'm okay with keeping this. I just think we need to look into, a better email.
Like a company that does that?
Yeah, yep.
So you're gonna check?
So I'm
for-
gonna check with like DMC and I've gotta
Right, 'cause
find a couple
I have
other
called them on
places.
that before.
Because Luke said that he cannot set up policies like that through
There needs to be.
Exactly, it needs to be
We've
set
hit
up.
the point, you know.
And I've talked to, a friend of mine who said that there's a way that you can do it where I know we were talking about at one point in time getting, Microsoft Office 365 for, Steve, me, Joan, and Nancy, so that we could all have all of the Word programs, you know, all of the Microsoft Office programs, as well as having our email on Outlook. And my friend said, yes, there's a way that you can do that and have them all interlocked and,
Oh, yeah,
So-
you could network it so
yeah.
that, so that we can, same thing like in calendaring. You know, we could
Exactly.
have that
Yes.
when we, you know, January every year, we set up our calendar for the year,
Yep.
for meeting dates and all that. We could put that then right into the calendar. There's probably a way that could go from the from that calendar.
Mhm.
I mean, in
To the
theory,
website.
Nancy's the keeper of everything.
Mhm.
I mean, you know, 'cause she is clerk, so she's got us for that. And then okay, she says, okay, this is the schedule. She can not only put that on all of our calendars,
Exactly.
but then it could also go to the website so that folks could have that, you know, in front of them. You know, the public can have that as well.
So that's one thing that I am looking into. So when I was going through and redoing this, that was before I knew that we needed the
Yeah.
better email.
The other
Set up.
thing, well, as long as we're there, but we're not, but we are. Because the other thing is that we, like right now, what I do, I might create a document on here, might create it on my other computer at home, okay? Then I put it onto an external hard drive, make sure that it's on this computer, then bring it here, then put it on the hard drive here. But basically,
That would save all of that because
well, I
it
was
would all
just gonna say,
be,
it should all be,
it would all be server based.
I'll give you an example. Years ago, like not long after I started, I created a letterhead. I bet none of you guys have that letterhead.
Only a
right?
hard copy, I've got it.
Yeah, you know,
But I can
but
scan.
we should have like one letterhead that all of us
Yes.
use.
That's
Instead
another
of this
thing.
one has this one, and this one has something different, and it would standardize that, the same thing. If, you needed to see a document that I sent to someone about what they owe on a fine or something like that,
Exactly.
you have to track me down, blah, blah, blah. That should all be on a server. that
Yes.
We're all sharing.
And that's
And that you can
kind
look
of
at
the
that
point
and
of
say,
all of
At
this.
worst, that you have to do is say, Steve, where is this on the server?
And you can
have
just
the
say it's
document
in-
right
So
there.
everything is automatically on the server?
Yeah.
Is it
it would
It
be.
PDF?
should be, yeah.
Is it PDF?
Not
No,
necessarily.
it could be Word.
It could be anything.
Yeah, it could be PDF or Word.
So
or Excel.
all of my financial documents and stuff, I can have it so that they could be read-only for anybody but me. So anybody can go in there at any point in time and
And
look
take
at
a
any
look,
of my
yeah.
financials.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, if anyone got sick,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you need to access
Exactly.
something right now, it's like dependent on all of us.
Yeah.
Because what if I have a heart attack?
Yeah, we'd have to find your computer, try and figure out your password, and it's you know.
Absolutely.
So this is kind of one of those things that
No
I
one
was
even
looking.
reacted that I had a heart attack.
I did. But I'm used
I'm
to
leaving.
it. I'm used to it.
Tobacco run, buddy.
So we'll
Love
keep
you,
that
Jerry.
section in there, and I will look into somebody who can actually handle that section. I don't know why I took out that next one.
That should be in because, depending on what, not everything is open FOIA. There's certain things that are not subject to
Yeah, I
public
don't know why I
inquiry.
tried to take that out, to
I
be
think that
honest.
next
So I
one
think
should
that
be
next
left
one
in.
should be kept.
That last
So the
paragraph should be
FOIA
left
coordinator may, in his or her discretion, implement administrative
Whoa,
rules.
stop.
Oh, you gotta get back there?
in. It needs to be left in,
Nobody's talking to me.
because there's some things that have to be,
Yeah,
you know,
um,
certain things that are not FOIA.
yeah, most things are, but consistent with state law. And these procedures and guidelines to administer and accept and process, yeah, so we'll leave that one in. The next one, if we're gonna write the written public summary, we can leave that in, cause it says, the township will make this procedure and guidelines document and the written public summary publicly available without charge. So I'd taken out the and written public summary, cause we didn't have one, but if that's gonna be added, we'll keep that.
Gonna put that written or electronic? Is that, oh no, this is a summary, okay,
Yeah, we're on page 2.
yeah.
And then, same thing with the next paragraph, a copy of this procedures and guidelines document will be on the website, so, and the written public summary will be on the website as soon as we get it available. And then, again, this is one of those things that they wrote in there as a designation, did not expect you to keep it in there. Include the following if the township directly or indirectly administers or maintains an official internet presence. We do, so this section needs to be in there, but I don't agree that that sentence needs to be there. So I was saying to take that sentence out.
So the written public summary needs to go on the website too.
Yes, it does.
You want that one taken out?
Yep, so I want,
Make a motion?
yep, I want that one taken out. I don't know, are we making a motion or are we just gonna make a
No, we're
motion at the
just-
end of?
Well, we'll go
We've
through
got too
it.
much to go through to do
Okay.
it today.
We'll go through everything.
And then I'll make changes and submit them again. So then the next one, so I guess that would be my suggestion is to take out the include the following. Anybody agree or disagree?
Yeah, because it's just like that other thing.
Yeah, it's just like the,
Clerk thing.
so everything else remained the same. Page 3, towards the middle of the page. We'll keep all of those too because, again, we're gonna update that. Yeah, because then it goes on to say, if the township does not maintain the procedures and guidelines and the written public summary on a township website, then end the sentence above the asterisk. So, what else we're taking out the asterisk? But obviously, I think that we should take out that last sentence as well, because that's more of a guideline to us than it is to residents.
Well, then we need to leave in written public summary?
Yes, we're leaving that in there. Yep, for all 3 of those. There's 3 of them that are crossed out on there.
The last one you want out,
But yep, that last
right
sentence.
here.
Yep. If the township does not maintain. The next change was on page 4. It's the 4th bullet point. It says, an explanation of the person's right to submit an appeal of the denial to either the office of the township supervisor, and then it gives examples, or clerk or manager. I'd suggest we take that out because that was just an example thing for the township to decide on.
Well, it kind of covers again if the supervisor's not available. The office of the township supervisor, we've not always had
So
a,
what you're
in the
saying,
past, we've not always had a deputy supervisor.
What if it says, or their designee? Or his or her designated? Like,
Yeah. as-
Yeah. back to like the front page or wherever, where it says, he or she is authorized to designate other township staff to act on his or her behalf.
Or designated
So-
other township staff.
Yeah, so I'll add, or designated township.
Well, you should, actually, it should be township official or staff, because there's only 2 staff,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dennis and myself.
Yeah.
official or staff.
how was the
Staff,
first one
then we have a
phrased?
whole issue.
mean, technically, we're still staff even though we're, because we still work.
No, actually, Amanda, no. Because if you're staff, there's whole different set of rules.
Yeah,
You're
I guess
elected
that's true.
official.
That's
If
true.
you're elected to the position, it's.
So in the first section then, because you're right on that, it should also say in that first page, he or she is authorized to designate other township officials or staff as well up front. Because staff would also include our deputies, so technically there is more. But, so yeah, back on page 1, we'll make this say the same thing that it says back here.
It should be consistent.
So, yeah, for consistency's sake, designate other township officials or staff to act on his or her behalf. So, of the township supervisor or designated township official or staff, or seek judicial review in the Oceana County Circuit Court. Does everybody agree with that? Okay.
Yeah.
So then the next change, it looks like, is on page 6. And I suggested to take out, labor costs will also include a charge to cover or partially cover the cost of fringe benefits. We don't have fringe benefits, so I don't believe that line applies. The township may add up to 50% to the applicable labor charge amount to cover or partially cover the cost of fringe benefits, but in no case may it exceed the actual cost of fringe benefits. Again, we don't have fringe benefits, so I don't think that would apply.
I don't think that's legal anyways. I think you can only charge hourly rate of the lowest paid employee.
Well, this all came from, see, I would agree with that, that's what I always thought, but this came directly from MTA, so this entire document
I was
does.
gonna say, but if you go to their website now.
It doesn't say anything
It
about fringe
doesn't say
benefits,
that at all.
exactly.
You that,
It
Or did-
says the
that you could
hourly
only
rate.
charge
They actually have,
the
Mhm.
rate
That
going to
chart.
like $50
Yeah,
an hour.
that we
for
used
employee.
last
Yep.
year.
Yeah, we couldn't charge that, we
Yeah,
had to
who
take
told
the
you that?
lowest,
The
MTA
lowest,
told me
yeah,
that.
so,
We have to
So,
take
yes,
the
so
lowest
we-
amount
It all
of
depends
the
what you
lowest
choose.
paid employee, which is
Right.
$15 an hour.
Which is why I'm suggesting we take those two out,
Yeah.
because I don't think,
Yeah, we can't include that anyways by law.
exactly. So, I would suggest we take those two lines
My
out.
guess is, again, this came from the MTA quite a while ago.
Yeah, yeah.
It's changed over time.
Exactly. So, I don't know how anyone feels about that one.
Well, then in the next one where it says overtime wages will not be included in labor costs unless agreed to by the requester, overtime costs will not be used to calculate the fringe benefit costs.
Yeah, come on, too, we don't pay overtime.
Yeah, so I guess I would say the overtime wages will not be included in labor costs unless
Right.
agreed to by the requester, period, and then take out that overtime costs will not be
And
used.
actually, the hourly rate is different now, I would think.
Are you saying for this 48.90?
Yeah.
That is for
This-
contracted labor costs. I don't know what this, do we know what the state minimum wage is currently?
It's nine.
Nine something,
Yeah.
968.
Actually, I think,
so that needs to be adjusted.
you know,
Yeah.
why don't we look at the statute again, Amanda, because I
Yeah.
think we can charge the actual cost of contracted.
I think we can too.
So I think it could be amended to say,
We'll
contracted labor charged at the actual cost of such labor.
Exactly.
But let's.
Let's double check that. So I will double check that one. Double.
But Yeah, I don't think we wanna,
But yeah, I wanna make sure that one's correct, cause, and I think that's why in
Because
parentheses
again,
it says
that's-
6 times
it's
that,
on the
but,
worksheet, you know.
Yeah.
We used as well, but we don't use contractor labor, but.
exactly, but it still should be in here in
It
case
should
we
be,
ever do.
Right, and like I said, it's in that worksheet,
Yes.
so we can find that out.
Yep,
and-
double check what,
What you want is so that, because the worksheet's what's presented to people when they get the bill. So this should align with the worksheet, so that, wait a minute,
Exactly.
you said this here, but.
Right, we
this is-
downloaded worksheets right off the state.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we
So-
want them to jive, or we don't look too good.
And on the cost to provide paper copies, 10 cents a sheet, the first 10 are free.
Okay, paper copies.
That's down the next line.
Okay, so we'll add first
10 are free.
10 pages are free.
Which
Okay.
we do double-side printing.
So double-sided, so that would be 10 pages double-sided.
Yes, if it's a
Okay.
page, yes. Well, no, because we count the double side as a page, because it's ink. It's not- the
Okay, so it's not all the,
most costly thing is not the paper, it's the ink.
So
So-
double-sided would actually
Be
be 2.
two, yeah.
so it'd be 5 pages.
5
10.
double-sided pages, first 10 are free, or 5 double-sided.
I think for the $10 per sheet of paper, it does say that.
10 cents.
Or yes, sorry, 10 cents per sheet of paper. So even
It's
though
not
it
the
might be
paper that's
double-sided, it would still be
expensive.
10 cents. Okay, so first, okay. Next thing is on page 8. And again, I'll make this say what we had on page 4, you know, where it says, Township Board by filing appeal of the denial with the office of the Township Supervisor or designated Township official or staff. And then I believe it's gonna be the same thing on the next page, so on page 9 it's gonna be the same, because it also says or clerk or FOIA coordinator. So I'll add or designated township official or staff. I don't know, okay. And then that last page, I don't know why I took that out, I say we leave that in.
Leave it in.
Yep, the FOIA coordinator is authorized to modify this policy and all previous policies adopted by the Newfield Township, I guess it should say Newfield Township Board.
Yeah, it should be in.
Township Board or the Township Administration, and to adopt such administrative rules as he or she may deem necessary to facilitate the legal review and processing of requests for public records made pursuant to Michigan's FOIA statute, provided that such modifications and rules are consistent with state law. And it also says the FOIA coordinator shall inform the Township Board of any changes in these policies and guidelines. I would say let's leave that in. I don't know why I originally wanted to take that out.
And at the bottom, the FOIA forms are what we took off the state site, so
Okay.
that's what we used.
You said these were on the state site or MTA site?
Steve, the one that we downloaded for a FOIA request, was that on the state site or was that
That
on?
was empty, the
Empty, okay.
calculator,
yeah,
The cost
yeah,
calculator, that's
yeah,
from the MTA.
MTA.
Okay, and so when I finalize this, I will put each of these in an appendix
Yes.
for this, so that when it's uploaded, all of those are on
Yeah,
there.
appendix A, B, C.
Because that was not in the current, so,
And obviously the FOIA policies and guidelines become effective, and that will be,
yep, and
that
then,
will need to be changed as well.
yep, we'll have to change that date, and, we're not, I would say not to do anything with approval until after the changes are made. I will try and make the changes, and maybe we can add this to the agenda for next week. I'll get all these changes to you guys as soon as possible, and then we can see about making it fully effective as of next week's board meeting.
Is that subject to publication in a 30-day?
No, because it's policy, not a ordinance or anything like that. But we can change policies whenever, from what my research has shown. But if you find something different, please let me know, because obviously I'm trying to make sure everything's
We're
set.
planning on doing other policies as well, right?
Mhm.
I guess my suggestion would be that we get through all of them. And then,
Today?
no, not necessarily today.
Okay.
Yes, you're gonna stay until.
I was gonna say, I've got
Hard
four.
work, young lady. No.
I've got 4 of them,
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure, there's some topics I'd
so,
like to bring up as well, but the point being is what I think is that is to get everything done.
yeah,
And then send it off to Schreier just to double check and make sure we don't have any boo-boos. And then the big, and it wouldn't be bad even to put on the sign, and on the website, new policies,
Yeah.
be sure to check it out, they're on the
Exactly.
website, something.
and we can
Something that
always do
folks know.
something about this, for public to look at before we adopt them as well.
That's what I'm saying, is
so-
that we could do
Well,
something.
once we get it all in place, then
Right,
we
that's
need to
what I
send it to John and then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is
And
instead of
then-
doing it
Yep,
piecemeal, let's do the whole thing, even if it takes a little bit, and then get it to Schreier, then come back and do the whole thing at once.
I mean, and we could do policy by policy, so that way it's easy, well, I don't know how price-wise that would work out though.
I think we need to do the whole.
It's gonna probably be better, marginally cheaper
To do them
to
all
do
at
the
the
whole
same time.
thing, because you
Okay.
do it by each, to sit down at the
Yeah.
computer,
Okay.
there's a-
That's fair enough.
I just think it's more economical all the way around,
Mhm.
and easier.
Yep. Okay, so the next one I've got is the meetings policy. Did anybody have any other questions on FOIA before we put that one to the side?
Not right now.
Okay. So the next one was the meetings policy. The changes, so, 1C, I had added, so the schedule of meetings shall be adopted by resolution by the township board no later than January 1st each calendar year. That is state law. It does need to be done by resolution, which is why I changed that. Schedule of meetings shall be posted at the township hall, published in the designated newspaper or other printed publication, and appear on the township's website.
That's already done.
It is, there was a reason why I highlighted it.
Are they put in the newspaper?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, in the newspaper of record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to go to their journal.
Designated newspaper.
All this stuff's already done.
Yeah,
It
I
said
don't
all
know
this stuff is
why,
already done
I
on
don't
it.
know why that one's highlighted, unless I changed, no, I didn't change something. E is the same. So then under 2B, special meetings of the township board may be called by the supervisor, when, and I changed this a little bit because I went by, the actual MCL, which I have here somewhere. MCL 41.72A, stated that special meetings of the township board may be called by the supervisor when scheduled at a regular scheduled meeting, when a purpose for the special meeting has been identified, or when the supervisor considers it necessary. It said, special meetings of the township board shall be called by the clerk upon receiving a written request for the meeting signed by a majority of the township board members. And that was, if you want me to, I can put the MCL
Let's see.
in there. Yep.
But B, why should, the B shouldn't be changed, I don't think.
It's changed slightly because it says special meetings of the township board may be called by the supervisor at the request of 2 board members.
Okay.
It has to be 3 board members, according to state law. And that one,
Well, we've called special meetings in the past before and we have not had the okay of 3 board members.
well, as long as the supervisor calls it, if the supervisor deems it necessary, they can call one without
So
the,
why do you need the other, I don't understand.
because say me, Rick, and John wanna call a board meeting for some
You can.
random purpose, we can,
Hmm.
without Joan's approval. Because 3 of the 5 did. Whereas otherwise, only the township supervisor can call them when deemed necessary, or when it's done at a regular
2 members
scheduled
of the
meeting.
board of trustees. This old one says, for B, 2 members of the board of trustees are when scheduled at a regularly scheduled meeting when a purpose for the meeting has been identified.
And this is actually wrong, because special meetings of the township board may be called by the supervisor according to the law. Special meeting, of the township board shall be held at a time fixed by the board at a meeting or when the supervisor considers it necessary. It also goes on to say,
So you're taking that out, but what are you putting in?
I'm leaving all of these things in, I'm just rewording it to follow what the law
Well,
says.
the old one, where you're saying it took 2 members, and the
Yes.
new one, now you're saying
It takes 3.
Okay.
Yeah, the old one says 2 members, which is not what statute
2 members
says.
of the board of trustees.
Which is,
Right.
the board of trustees is the township board.
All right,
So
but
now-
what I'm saying is, I guess I don't understand. You have to have a quorum to have a meeting anyways, so obviously you can't have a meeting without a quorum. So if the 2 trustees call for a meeting, you're going to have 3 people there in order to make it fly. You can't have,
Yes.
you 3 can't call a meeting because you have a quorum and leave us out.
No,
No.
that's not what I'm saying. That's
That's
not
what
what
it
any of
sounds
this is saying. Okay, so let's rephrase it. So, special meetings of the township board, so of the whole township board, shall be called by the clerk upon receiving a written request for the meeting signed by a majority of the township board members. That's what the new one is being proposed to state
Where's that at?
on the highlighted version, or on the, it's
Okay.
section
So it's
2,
C, so we're
board
skipping
or
B?
C.
We're skipping B?
There's, according to the law, there's 2 differences. So there's a time when the supervisor has to call the meeting, and there's a time when the clerk has to call the meeting.
Okay, I see what you mean.
So B is when the supervisor calls the meeting, which is when scheduled at a regularly scheduled board meeting for a purpose,
I
what a
think we've only
purpose.
had one since I've been here.
Well, this one is that specifically.
Yeah, okay.
So or when the supervisor considers it necessary. So then if she says, oh, we have this pressing issue, we need to have a board meeting, she can call it without consent of any of us.
Right.
She can call a board meeting. It has to be 18 hours in advance and the postings and stuff have to be done, but, so that's why I changed it. So B is the supervisor calling the board meeting. C is the clerk calling the board meeting. And again, all of these are per statute.
So really, everything's the same?
Everything's pretty much the same, it's
Instead of
just,
2, now you need 3?
yes,
Okay,
because by law you need the majority.
okay.
I still think we need to hold her to it. I just, there's something not right about that. I don't, it's not.
I guess, so what you're saying, or what this old one is saying with the 2, is that John and I can say, we want a board meeting and that flies. You guys have to post a board meeting.
So now, even if...
So now, even if John and I want one, we have to have a third person that want a board meeting.
Should we have something though also, because under our ordinance, folks can request a special meeting for a gravel pit permit.
That's public hearings,
Okay.
isn't it?
No, special meeting.
Yeah, we've had special
Yeah.
meetings.
No, it's for a special meeting. I wanna have and we did this for the most recent gravel pit.
We had a public hearing,
We had a
public
public-
meeting.
Yeah, because they paid for, they paid extra. They paid
For-
$450, it cost them $900.
I thought that was for that was a special meeting, yes, it was, but wasn't that a special meeting of the planning commission?
No, it was special.
It was a
meeting.
special meeting, 'cause we were all here
Yeah,
Before.
I think it was,
on the gravel one.
yeah.
We
Yes,
could
yeah.
add something in, statute does not designate that, but we can designate that as a board.
Yeah, so, because I know it's gonna happen, we have an issue coming up with Hightower, and that we may wind up having.
Special meeting.
Yeah. It may be just the planning commission, it could be both, which they'd have to pay for both, obviously, but not only that, in addition, the fee should be specified in the policy also.
I agree.
So it's not, well, we think it's,
Exactly.
last time we did it, for
Yeah.
John, and his pole barn, we charged them,
Mhm.
Well, like today, this special meeting has cost us $300 extra.
Yeah.
Just for today's meeting.
Right,
Because
right.
John and Rick get paid for each meeting.
Mhm.
So every time we have a special meeting, they automatically get paid $150.
Right,
Mhm.
right, so that's what I'm saying, is the fee should be in there.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
well, in our ordinance, there's a lot of stuff I want to see changed, but.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that is a good point, that if,
Yeah. Well, like you say, you could say, I'll charge you X amount of dollars, next guy
mhm.
so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
needs to
should
be
be,
written.
it should be in writing here.
It should be here in this
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Well, the thing is right now, we're dependent on so many things,
Mhm.
which goes back to the thing about the server and all that,
Mhm.
which I think is a good investment.
I agree.
Is that we're always dependent on someone's memory,
Yeah,
if,
Well, we have certain things that's specified.
yeah, but there's an awful lot of stuff.
And that's not on the board. Most all of it's out there.
Yeah, no, but like things like the fee, like what you
Mhm.
charge. We don't have that in a lot of places, and
we don't.
we're dependent.
On someone's memory.
The issue with Hightower, I'm actually having to call Bill and Gail to try and find out.
Well, I mean,
They know anything
just
about it.
like when I did the permit for my place, it was either 400 or 450. We couldn't figure it out, and so I had to actually track down the last special use permit that we did
Right.
to
yeah,
find
it
out
should be-
what the
Yeah,
price
yeah, We
was.
should have.
We
it.
need to
should
have
be
it
on.
Yeah,
in here.
I think
So
that's-
I think we do need to add
Yeah,
a
okay.
section in here.
Because, John, Rick, and I all have heart attacks tomorrow, y'all will be screwed.
Yeah, I mean, we
I got
need
the
to
tractor warmed up for you too, Rick.
You know how to operate it.
I do too.
So, adding a section in here that states, that residents, can request a special meeting for, and then we can set an amount. And it doesn't necessarily have to be what, you know, it was, but, for the going rate of, you
Yeah,
know,
I mean,
the additional costs
yeah,
that are
what was
incurred.
what was the cost of the ad last time? Nancy, wasn't it like $400?
Yeah.
You don't
Spend
have
it
to, for a special meeting, you don't have to publish in the newspaper for a special. You only have to publish it 18 hours in advance
Okay.
at the hall.
We have to
Public
we have to
hearings
For
and
public
hearings,
stuff like
yeah.
that, yes, you have to
It's almost
publish.
$400.
And it's not a bad idea to publish a special meeting in the newspaper when you know that it's happening, but it's not required by law.
Well, we aren't gonna publish anything more than we have to.
Exactly, so,
Well, I'm just saying, but.
$400
If
is
it's
a
a
big-
special meeting related to.
well, I would almost say that if it's a special meeting related to residents, we could charge them that fee that it would cost
Yeah.
to put in the paper.
I'm just throwing it
Yeah.
out there so we don't.
So you need to add an addendum to, is that what we're saying,
Yeah, I
to
think
special
we need to-
meetings?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
so we need to add a line to special meetings that say residents can request a special meeting,
Right. I mean, and I'm
for,
looking at the thing with Hightower, something that, thank you, Brian. Brian pointed out, and I had never read section 16 of our ordinance for whatever reason, is entertainment license. Entertainment, right now we have a fee of $100 a year. That's way to publish, it's gonna cost us, for a meeting, for a public hearing, it's gonna cost us
$70,
$400.
well,
And-
for a public hearing, yeah.
Yeah, and everything else, and we're charging $100. So we're in, and you're gonna.
Well, when we do the ordinance reviews, we're gonna have to adjust that, when your planning commission does the ordinance review.
Yeah.
was it written in the ordinance that it's only 100?
Yeah,
Then yeah,
so they're gonna, that's something
that's
they're gonna
gotta
have
be
to.
in there, cause then we can't
Yeah.
just adjust that at a
Yeah,
board
but
meeting.
that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Well, let's get back to this.
Yeah, so, I'll add a line in there that says residents can request a special meeting for, and then we'll figure out a dollar amount, but,
Do we need to be more specific about residents requesting a special meeting? Otherwise, you're gonna have people that are just gonna decide they want.
Hey, John, I only have a special meeting about 3 times a week, will you, John?
Yeah.
I mean,
$150.
I mean, that's the thing, is if they're requesting it, I mean, they have to, I would say within reason, they have to give a reason of what the
Maybe
special
some
meeting
kind of-
is.
Because normally it's a special meeting if they are in the process of something and they don't wanna wait until the board meeting, like opening business or
You
whatnot.
can make
It needs to be
it,
more
residents
specific.
may request a special meeting for the issuance of permits or licenses or variances.
Yeah. Okay,
And that would cover
permits,
everything.
Yeah.
licenses, variances. Yeah, cause that would make a lot more sense than just saying, oh, hey, they can request a special meeting for, you know.
No, I mean, actually, you could. You
They
just-
could.
you Just make it a cost of $1,000. You wanna pay $1,000?
We'll have a special meeting.
Exactly, I mean, and so that's where it's like,
Yeah.
do you wanna allow them
I
that?
mean, that's the big thing,
capability?
is if there's, you know, it's fine, but there has to be a cost, like, you're right.
Exactly,
You're right, if you just said, oh, everyone can have a special meeting, and there's no, you're
Yeah.
not covering the cost of it.
exactly,
Yeah,
then
people will
it's,
abuse it, but if you make it.
but if you actually have to pay
High
for
enough.
it, then do you, I mean, can
Yeah,
they
let's
call?
sit here.
You know, so, I do like the addition of, for permits, licenses, and variances.
Yeah. that's-
I think it should be no less than $500.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right now, we're at like 450. and-
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and the dark.
Well, cause I mean,
and the dark-
it's 300 just for
Right.
trustees alone, you're
Yeah.
not even
Yeah, and then you
including.
have $400 if it's anything that has to be published.
Mhm.
So, Because if
Well,
it was
special
like-
meetings should have to be published.
Again, yeah,
Well,
you're right, it doesn't have to be
if-
published.
Unless
on
they're
the
applying for licenses or.
Right, but they could be.
Variances.
And so.
So if
that's
it
why I
is,
say-
yeah, if it is a license or variance thing, we can add,
I'd say $1,000.
I think
don't
you
think that's
gotta
that far
do
off.
something. Yeah, you've got 300.
then you've got all the
400,
paper and
700.
all the, you know.
Yeah, you've got $700 in fixed cost right there.
Mhm,
So,
Yeah,
So,
I mean, the cost, it has to cover the cost, and
mhm.
$1,000, right?
So do we wanna do 1,000?
otherwise they have to wait and go through the
yeah,
public
they can
hearings.
go through the normal.
Yeah, they can go through the normal
Yeah.
process without additional fees.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Or they can go through
Yeah.
and get it
Right.
done
I mean,
immediately.
Quite honestly, when I talk to zoning administrators in other townships,
Mhm.
our fees are so much
I know.
less. When I talk to contractors, they're like, they're expecting like a zoning permit, they're expecting $150.
Yeah,
Mhm.
When I
Check
tell
with
them
them,
$20,
$20.
all the different fees.
$20, yeah.
they're like, what?
Well, when you
Yeah,
check
it
with the
is.
fees coming out of White Cloud,
Yeah.
Stephanie said they have different fees for every township.
Yes. Yeah.
So we're saying for 1,000?
Yep,
Yeah, I got
And with that will keep the nuisance stuff away too.
It would. I mean, the thing is, we're going to specify for permits, licenses, and variances just because I think specifying for those is a good.
Yeah, like I said, it'll keep things honest.
Yeah. And because it also balances out a little bit more because you would have to post for these.
Yeah.
So, okay, I will add that in there right after D. So that would probably be section E, and then the rest would be adjusted as as necessary. Did we agree on the special meetings of the board with the supervisor and with the clerk when they could call meetings?
yes, I think so.
Okay. Township board shall give notice. Oh, yeah, that was another thing per law, so, I guess, excuse me, this addition would be D. Then E would be adjusted. D would be adjusted to E. So where it says the township clerk shall give notice of the time and place of the meeting to each member, either in person or by leaving a written notice at the member's address, that is also per statute. It says upon call of the supervisor, the township clerk shall give notice of the time and place of the meeting to each member, either in person or by leaving a written notice at the member's address, according to 41.72A, section 2. So that's why I added that one in there, or adjusted, but I can't remember. And then the last bullet point there, the purpose of the special meeting shall be stated on the special meeting notice. Only the specified item of the special meeting can be discussed unless all board members are present. If all board members are present, then other regular business may be discussed. And that is also per statute. Any questions or discussion?
Is this open to any public comments?
No,
At the end, is it? I'm just trying to do the rules here. This is a meeting. Is there, at the end, public comment?
I mean, I don't see why we can't
Yeah,
take
Okay.
suggestions and stuff.
yeah,
at the end.
I think.
It is relevant to what you're talking about, but I
At
can
the
say,
end.
I can say that.
So then 3 agendas, A1, so this is regarding when the timeline for getting information to us for board meetings. Our current.
Oh,
Huh?
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the current, timeline is that if you want something on the agenda, you need to notify the supervisor at least 7 days prior to the meeting. The agenda should be available to everyone, or to the trustees, to the board members, 5 days prior to the scheduled meeting. The final
It's-
proposed, huh?
It's put in their box here. They all have keys, so I don't think that we need to hand deliver any
Nope, and
agendas.
that's fine. I don't think I made any of that, on here. The only thing I did put is, information and documentation regarding the proposed agenda items must also be provided, to the supervisor to ensure timely distribution of information. So if I'm saying, hey, I'd like this policy change to be on the agenda, I need to also provide that to her at the time that I request her to put it on. I can't tell her, since, say, today's the 7 days in advance, I can't request her to put that on the agenda today and then give it to her next,
Right.
on Friday.
Or
I
the
have to give her
Or the
that,
same day of.
yeah,
meeting.
you know, I have to give that to her within that time frame as well, so.
Oh, I'm an employee. I can have items requested to be put on the agenda.
I don't see why not.
Do what?
I mean,
What's that?
oh, you're looking at the, current
Yeah.
one that's on the website?
Yeah,
Okay. Which one is that?
so today
Oh, yep,
I have.
A.
my request.
Members and employees may request to have an item placed on the agenda. Yeah. And I kept that, I just said that the information and documentation regarding the proposed agenda item must be provided to the supervisor to ensure timely distribution of information. I changed, it says, the supervisor should make, is our current phrasing. I said the supervisor shall deliver the proposed agenda to the full board 5 days prior to the scheduled meeting. And so this may be done via email, or I'm gonna take out hand delivered, I agree, or paper copy. And this can just be done by putting it in the box like we have been doing.
But what you're saying too, and like Joan, she can put it in our box 5 days prior, but if somebody has a request or something, she can change it, right? Is that- or not?
No, we have to have the information to her within 7 days before the board
Okay,
meeting, so
so-
that gives her 2 days.
So if she puts it in 5 days prior, you can't change the agenda.
Only at the
can
board
add to
meeting.
it.
At the board.
At the board meeting, we can make
Yeah,
a
right.
motion to amend the agenda.
Okay,
But we can't have her
right,
forced to be putting it on there the day before
just
the,
at the meeting.
yes, only at the meeting. At least that's how I feel, cause I feel like that's kinda crappy to throw something at you on a Monday, which I know
Wow.
I've done before, but.
Well, not just that, but, I mean, people outside of the township has done that before, you know, like businesses and whatnot. All of a sudden, I get it over the weekend or on Monday and stuff.
And see, and I think it should be there 7 days in advance, so that you don't have to rush and change things, and all of us have an idea of what's coming up.
Or it can be brought up at the meeting itself.
Yes.
Added at the
Yes,
meeting.
or it can be added at the meeting.
Right, I see.
So,
So that's my suggestion.
As far as the board meeting packet, we pretty much, anything that's on the agenda or any correspondence, I've been trying to put it in everybody's box as it comes in off an email, or if it's something I get in the mail, I duplicate it. So for the most part, like the school board used to have a board meeting packet, and it was hand delivered the week before the meeting. That was always their policy. But, I don't know if they still do that, but, you know, we pretty much put everything in to the mailboxes out here, and it's the individual's responsibility to pick up their mail.
Yeah, because otherwise there's stuff all the time being added
Right,
to
I
it.
add stuff all the time as it comes in.
Now, is there, and this is just kind of between us, is there a way we can put like a folder that's this is information specifically for the board meeting versus this is just a correspondence, so you know this is what's happening type of a thing.
Well, I
'Cause-
just throw all correspondence in your box
Okay,
as it comes in.
okay,
I mean, if you want a folder set aside in your boxes,
Okay.
it's up to you, but
okay. So anyway, I just wanted to put that in there.
I don't know, I don't. The board packet is, I think is irrelevant. I don't know if that's, we've never had one in the past, and we put everything in that we're being, anything that we're discussing on the agenda usually is, and all the correspondence is always, I try to put it in all your boxes, and then I lay it out here so anybody that's in the audience can come up after the meeting and read it. So there's hardly anything, you know, I can't think of anything lately that we've been doing.
To me, the only thing that we would need to do that on, if there was something that everybody had to have and
In order
needed
to sign.
to read through it, knowing that we're gonna be voting on it,
Right.
they need to.
See, and I guess
read
that's
it
where I
ahead
was
of
going,
time,
is
but
that if
but
there
as
was
far
something to be
as-
voted on, like correspondence.
Is usually
But
not.
correspondence,
Like
just
this
to,
next meeting, we've got something again from Great Lakes Energy. Now,
Mhm.
you've got a copy of it, you've got a copy of it, I've got a copy of it. Bringing in all of what they're doing, it's just a standard thing. It's how many pages? They sent us a master copy and 2 copies. I can make them for the 2 trustees or pass them along. That's the one thing we'll be voting on, at the meeting. But
See, and
normally,
I think
if it
they should
wasn't-
have-
Yeah,
yeah, anything that's gonna be voted
Okay.
on, but if
so I'll make
it's just
sure that trustees get
correspondence
that.
telling
'Cause they
about
sent
upcoming
two-
workshops
They
or
sent a
something like
master
that.
copy
I
and
mean,
then 2.
we should know before we come to the
Right,
meeting.
right,
Mhm.
right. So.
And that was the reason why I put the board meeting packet thing in there, is because everywhere that I've ever seen that holds board meetings, they have a specific board meeting packet for their,
Well, I can put a file
for
on each
their
one and
people.
throw everything for the board meeting into that file.
see, and that's kind of what I'm looking, cause like some of the correspondence say, like, I know you make pictures of like the newspaper ads of stuff that we put in the ad.
Mhm.
That's not really for the board meeting, that's just for us to know
Right.
that, you
That
know,
it got in.
that it got in,
Right.
which is great, you know, I like knowing that, but that's not specific information that we need to
Oh,
know
I can
for the
put
board
I
meeting,
can put a
so
folder in each box for board meeting packet, and
I
then
guess that's what
we'll
I'm,
add to it whatever's for the board meeting.
so that way at the end, you know, at each month, we don't have to separate like, oh, hey, these were my tax bills, these are my, you know, receipts that I need to receipt in from zoning and stuff like this, and, you know, this is just information
It's
like.
not a mishmash of stuff.
Exactly, so we have information that's specifically designated, this is the information for the board meeting. You know, if you don't have time to look at anything else, this is what you need to know.
Okay.
I guess that's what I'm looking at with
Okay,
the
I'll
board
put
meeting
another
packet.
folder in each one dated, or saying that it's a board packet.
Yeah.
Then, kind of along with the board meeting packet, so D, section 1 says documentation regarding the addition of agenda items should be provided at the time of the agenda's adoption. So if we're adding something to the agenda, like I did a couple months ago with the non-sufficient funds policy, because I found out like the day before the meeting that our policy was not accurate per statute. So I had to bring that up at the night of the meeting, and we had to make an agenda change. I needed to be able to provide you guys with the documentation of this is why, this is what the thing is. So that's my only addition there too, is if we're adding something to the agenda, we need to have the backup documentation stating what we're adding and why. Any questions on those? Okay, page 3. At each township board meeting, there shall be an opportunity for public comments. honestly, I say just take out at the
Yeah.
beginning of the meeting,
Yeah.
because as long as there's one, then, which, I like the way that we've been doing it, but that kind of covers our butt if we ever change the structure. B, citizens may speak to up to 3 minutes. Individuals requesting a longer period of time in advance will be permitted at the discretion of the chairperson and with the consent of the full township board. So if anybody needs over 3 minutes of time, they have to get that in advance.
And that's what we've been doing. If they want to speak more than 3 minutes, they ask to be put on the agenda.
Okay.
But, if somebody comes in the day before and asks for a longer period of time the next day at the meeting, there's no way you can get consent of the full township board.
Before the meeting.
Well, I don't think there's been consent of the full township board for the other people either, but.
Right,
But
that's
this
why.
is for extended, right? Is that?
Yeah, but
for
I'm just
extended.
saying for people that we have had on the agenda, it's just been on the agenda. It hasn't been consented to upon by everybody until the night of the agenda. So we could delete that and with the full consent, or and with the consent of the full township board. It just, at the
Yeah.
discretion of the chairperson. But we could also add that to say individuals requesting a longer period of time,
Should
at
we-
least 7 days in advance.
Let us put us on the agenda.
Yeah, so that they can, so citizens may speak for up to 3 minutes. Individuals requesting a longer period of time must do so at least 7 days in advance of the meeting. And will be permitted,
At least 7 days and be asked to be put on the agenda. That way it covers it, then they can speak
Yeah.
more than that,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Am I right?
yeah, I guess,
That's what I've done before. It's just-
exactly.
Yeah.
Like some of the candidates from the different, and the
Mhm.
sheriff and whatever, they're put on the agenda, then they can speak
Mhm.
longer than 3 minutes.
Must do so at least 7 days in advance of the meeting, to be put on the agenda. Do we want will be permitted at the discretion of the chairperson, or do we just want to say that they have to do it within 7 days of the meeting so that they can be put on the agenda? And then,
I think at the discretion, and well, also at the
Yeah, it needs to be at the
discretion
discretion
of
of the chairperson
But not with
because
the consent of the full board.
yeah,
otherwise you have to have a special meeting just to get everybody in here to vote on if they can
exactly.
go on there or not, and that's,
I think that's, I agree.
that's unrealistic.
Okay, so, longer period of time must do so at least 7 days in advance of the meeting to be put on the agenda and will be authorized
Well, that's another way to control.
at
You
the
mean D?
discretion, at the
D?
discretion of the chairperson. Huh?
Oh, okay, I thought you were going on.
Section D in here was individuals who wish to speak during the public comment section must submit a request to speak form to the chairperson prior to the meeting being called to order. One, I don't think that's legal, and two, we haven't been following that.
We haven't been
so
following that, but I know that some places,
It is.
that is how they keep
It
order.
is legal, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
School
that was
board
one thing
meetings, A
that,
lot of school board meetings, you say have to submit a request.
They still do, that's great.
yeah, and I just
Okay.
read this on here because a lot of times people come in here not to even speak, but to listen and see what's going on, and then if somebody mentions one thing, then they just wanna
Well,
jump in
and
too, and that's
we've
not
had them
the-
where they've come in and they should have went to Steve with a complaint, and they come directly in here with the complaint. Well, we can't act on it, we can't do anything, we don't even know about it, and it's in a public comment where when they bring it to him, then he brings it to us. Same way with planning commission. You know, there's some people when they bring things in, they need to start with Steve and the planning commission and bring it up through. When they come in here and lay it on us, it might be the first time we hear it. You know, if it's,
Just because.
they have
you
not been
it
properly presented.
Doesn't mean you have to always enforce it.
I feel like it should be enforced if it's in here though.
It's a better thing.
Because
But
if,
what I'm saying is that if you leave it in there,
mhm.
okay, and ideally, it should be done, because it may control some of the, I think sometimes things get out of control, and the control when people get heated, they react, and they say things maybe that they wouldn't have said otherwise.
Well, and we're completely blindsided sometimes by things that are presented because they haven't went through, they haven't contacted Joan, they haven't contacted you, they haven't
Anyway,
contacted,
but-
yeah. We have,
But by having that there, and it should be very simple to, I mean, you could put 3 on a sheet of paper, you know, my gosh, name, request to speak, yes.
The
when you
only
want to speak.
thing that I'm curious of is because based on statute for open meetings, you can request them tell you their name and their address,
You don't have
but they
to.
don't have to.
Right.
So how are they going to give you a request to speak form if they don't submit their
I don't know,
name?
because like I
So
said,
that breaks that law.
I don't know, because like I said.
I know school boards
Asbury
allow-
School Board does that.
Yes.
And
They
they're
don't have-
subject to, and they also,
Yeah, they are, but are they, that's where I'm like, are they following it? Is this legal? Is this legal is what I'm getting down to. Just because other people do it doesn't mean it's
you
legal.
know, you do it and see if it goes to court.
So,
And
Well, it
actually,
keeps a
that's
little
why-
bit of
that's why,
order
again,
on
I
it.
said, Amanda, after we get everything done, and we're all, oh, this looks good to us, it goes to
Yeah.
fire,
yeah.
and then
Yeah.
they'll say whether it's legal.
No, I understand we haven't been following it, but looking at past things of the way they've been presented, it might be a way to keep a little order, more order, I don't know.
Mhm. I agree, I think we should wait on that one and we'll check on some things and I can,
I mean, you can
Make
make an
up a
announcement
form
at the
and
beginning
stuff.
that starting with such and such, this is what we're going to be following, you know.
okay, so
I know the school does it, so.
we'll keep for now, but I'd say let's check on that with
That's,
lawyers and MTA and everything, because I think that's walking a fine line. I think it's legal, but I think it's walking a fine line, because if
Well-
somebody doesn't want to submit their name, they don't have to. Well, how are they allowed to speak if
Give
they
them a
don't
number.
submit their name?
Give them a number.
That is one thing we can do. So,
Number such and such, it's your turn.
so that's something that I would like to look into a little more.
Well,
I-
like I said, if it's not legal or whatever, the
Yeah.
lawyer will pick up on it.
So the other thing is, should that say, because if we're gonna leave it in here, I feel like we should be following it. So if we leave it in here and we're not following it, should we put, some sort of discretionary thing?
well, I'll check on it to see.
Well, the way it's
The
written, the way it's
legality and all
written,
that.
it doesn't say that it says that they shall be requested to state their name. It doesn't say they have to.
Right.
But how it's written is they must submit a request to speak form. So in
Well,
order to speak, they
Give
are
them a number.
required to.
Give them a number.
So we'll check on legalities of that one and come back to it later. F, in addition to the above mentioned public comment period, The chair or the township board members may may permit limited public comment for particular agenda items. That is illegal. So I took that one out. You cannot, everybody that wishes to speak has to be able to speak, so you can't tell them that the time limit is up for that specific comment section, which is why I took that one out. So I don't know what you guys think of that. Down to minutes, D1, unapproved minutes shall be available at Township Hall or on our website. I believe we should be putting those on our website as well as drafted minutes, so people can see them.
I don't think unapproved should be on the website. If people want to see them, the unapproved, then they can come here and see them. I don't think it's a good idea to have them on there. I put draft, I don't put unapproved, but they're available at the Township Hall. I don't think they should be on the one's website. The only minutes I feel should be on the website are the approved minutes. They're available here at the call. They're labeled as draft. I can label them unapproved, but I don't
I
think
mean, they could be, see, and the reason why I'm thinking that they should go on the website is because you can put a watermark on them that does say unapproved.
I don't,
And so that way they can,
no,
see them. But,
no.
because I mean, they have to be made available anyway. So if somebody comes in and wants a copy of them, they have to be given a
That's
copy
right, but
of
it's
them.
not on the website. And if they have questions when they're picking up that copy, they can talk to us and talk about what is on there. But when it's on the website, then that's how, somebody sees it, it's not approved, they're yapping about it, it gets changed when we come to a meeting. It's always a month behind, so they're on there a full month. As it is, we've got the OWL, and those are available for a longer amount of time, which most people, I've been checking around, that once the minutes are approved, they're taken down off the OWL, off the use of that word that we use, the OWL. So that's something to consider also.
Let's go back to the thing that you're talking about when you went about public comments.
The public
there.
comment section must be.
I'm right now on the state website,
Mhm.
and this is right from Dana Nessel, who's our Attorney General. If a public body wishes members of the public to identify themselves at the meeting, we suggest the board chair announces something like this: the board would appreciate having the members of the public attending the meeting today identify themselves and mention if they would like the opportunity to speak during the public comment period. However, you do not need to give your name to attend this meeting. When the time comes to introduce yourself and you do not want to do so, just say pass. It goes on. Since speaking at the meeting is a step beyond attending, in quotes, the public meeting, and the OMA provides that a person may address the public body, and then again, under rules established and recorded by the public body, the board may establish a rule requiring individuals to identify themselves if they wish to speak at a meeting.
Okay.
So it is allowed to require people to identify themselves if they wish to speak.
Mhm.
So that's not
Okay,
a problem.
so
Now,
that
wait,
is,
okay. Limiting public comment. A public body may adopt a rule imposing individual time limits for members of the public addressing the public body. In order to carry out its responsibilities, the board can also consider establishing rules allowing the chairperson to encourage groups to designate one or more individuals to speak on their behalf to avoid cumulative comments. But a rule
Limiting time.
limiting the period of public comment may not be applied in a manner that denies a person the right to address the public body such as by limiting all public comments to half an hour period.
Correct.
Oops. Okay. Okay. So anyways, that kind of clarifies.
Mhm.
right
So
there.
you can make people say their name to speak.
Yes.
Okay.
So having
So we
that
could
right,
still
that,
keep that,
that
that,
form or whatever
yep,
is absolutely okay.
so that would be legal.
I think we need to follow it. I think it'll help keep order.
I think it's not a bad idea, and just a suggestion is that, when Joan calls the meeting to order, she can remind folks, we have the little thing there, where people can sign in. And right next to that, we could have the little things, little slips, and say, if you wish to speak in the public comments, you need to fill one out. They'll be accepted until after we do the Pledge of Allegiance. You know, because she calls the
Or
meeting to order
something,
and we
so
do the pledge.
Put in a time frame in here, so of when they must be submitted by.
Yeah, so that, you know, I mean, because someone could be coming just at the last minute.
Mhm.
It gives folks, you're not being like, well, we're about to we hit the gavel, you're done. It gives them another, couple minutes
Yeah.
to get situated. Which I
Oh,
think
yeah.
is fair then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the only thing is if somebody comes in late, how are they,
They come in too late, well, like I said.
They won't be.
But
be
then-
able to-
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't,
That's
and
one
they
of
don't,
the-
they don't
That's
at
the only
the school
thing.
board meeting. You have your stuff in, or,
Yeah, I mean, it's.
Yeah.
Bad.
It would.
yeah, I'll look farther into that, but we'll have a submission by date or by time.
Yeah, like I said, it could be
Okay.
up until, through the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay.
this is no citizen can transfer, reserve, or delegate any public comment time to any other person. They've been reminded of that, but that's a good thing to,
Yeah. Yep, and that was in our original one, I think, or maybe not, and I added it, I don't remember. Yeah, no citizen can transfer, reserve, or delegate any public comment time to another person. So then, you don't want the minutes on the
I do not
website?
want them on the website before they're approved.
Even though this says not put it on a website unless you have a member-only website, because once it's out there, then it's out there for the world.
Yep. Also, it's back to B, it said if the clerk is not attending the meeting, a secretary pro tem shall be elected by the board. I've missed one meeting, and my deputy took care of that.
Yep, and that's typically how it would be handled.
So I think that should be put in there.
Well, I think that's what it's basically saying, a secretary pro tem shall be elected by the board, which typically would be,
The deputy
Your
is
deputy.
appointed, okay, I
Yeah.
understand.
and if your deputy's unavailable, then the board would go on from there to appoint somebody else. And I think that is all that I had for this one. Do we have any additional? Okay. So, because the resolutions that I prepared are for the financial management, let's go to the appointment one appointment and hiring.
Resolution.
So appointment policy for boards and commissions.
Appointment policy?
Yep,
Well, it's not on our website?
this one is completely new. So did anybody have a chance to read through it? It's the exact same as originally submitted a month ago.
It's exact as the original?
Exact as the original one that I submitted, yes. The only difference is that I added the Newfield Township appointment policy, page 1 of 2 at the
And
bottom.
where can it be found in, I'm trying to think when I printed it off,
I just printed you another copy this or like 2 hours
the
ago.
old one, though?
There is no old one. This is completely new. There's no policy on file currently for this.
Really, how come we always followed certain policies then?
If there's a policy for it, I've never,
Do
See,
we always go by state policies?
state law, yes. But this is kind of addition to state law. So, for example, state law for boards and commissions, they can be appointed by the supervisor but must be confirmed by the board.
And that's what we've always done.
And that's what we've done. This is kind of in addition to it, to allow for applications. Which is still the same thing because we're asking people, hey, are you interested in this position? If so, submit an application. Then Joan looks at the applications. If we want to do interviews, we can do interviews. Essentially, at the end of the day, Joan would pick one of them and say, this is my recommendation to the board, and then the board would decide on whether or not we want that person. It's just giving the people more of an opportunity to come in and,
I think when the supervisor appoints, the supervisor does their work at gathering, finding out, doing checks on the specific person, their qualifications. She goes into all that before she makes a recommendation to the board. And I don't think that we need to go through interviews. I do not think that is necessary when the board is hiring a potential person, say, like the zoning administrator or something like that. That is a different, Steve presented his background and presented that, but I do not feel that the board positions, the positions that are appointed by the supervisor should have to go through a process of filling out an application and going through interviews. That is strictly up to the supervisor. She's done a good job in the past. Two supervisors before that I've worked under or sat in the back in the audience with, also have done their work in appointing people. We have an excellent planning commission. I just feel that isn't necessary.
personally, I disagree.
I'll disagree with you too, because I think, I don't know why you don't wanna have applications, because nothing against Joan, I mean, she can pick whoever she wants, but we don't know until we come to vote on it.
We keep
who it is.
We keep I have a list of people that are in election inspectors, and I pull from that list to
Yeah, but we
appoint,
don't know that.
to appoint my people. That is my responsibility.
But I feel that the board should know who Joan's looking at. I mean,
I
No
don't
one-
feel that
no
way.
one
I don't feel
officially-
with me, the election commission that we have, I present who I have now, and the ones that I presented the other day, I already have one that couldn't make it. She's had something go on at work. So I have somebody else that I have replaced with. And you guys at the election commission give me that right to go ahead and replace as needed, especially with COVID and all that. But
So-
I feel that appointed positions, the supervisor is intelligent enough to seek out people to take a position, find out their backgrounds and everything, and then present that person to the board.
I'm just gonna go out here and say that election inspectors are different than planning commission members. They're completely different.
I know they're different, but the way that I still go through this whole process. I find out, you know, people contact me, I put it out there, if anybody's interested, let me know. I have a list. A lot of them I've got 2 of them that were here long before me. You know, they've been here more than 10 years. And I keep using them over and over. I use the same ones unless somebody moves or they get sick or whatever.
But why not bring new ones in that are interested?
Oh, I
That's
do,
my
but-
question.
Well, I do bring new ones in that are interested, but in saying that, I also have to think about the personality of the person, not the person itself, but the personality, because we're going to be in a room sometimes up to 16 hours, in this little room for 16 hours, and I want everyone to be able to get along, and I try to pick this kind of the same personalities. You know, it doesn't always work that way. We've had different personalities, but for the most part, you know, that's kind of what I look at. So,
So, a little bit back to that, election inspectors are a different breed. Planning commission, you are appointed for 3 years. Election inspectors, you're appointed for 1 election.
but
They
like
don't
I
work
said,
out
many
that
of
one
them I've
election.
used for 10
No,
years.
I get that, but if you don't like the person for that election, you don't have to hire them back for the following election. Planning commission members are on the board for 3 years. And, you know, if they haven't renewed. Brian, no one told me you were even up for election
He was presented that night.
that night. I had no background. None. I was given no
Your-
background.
Your supervisor gave that, invested into that background.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
this is what-
where was I given notice?
This is what she's trying to say.
She's presented to you the
Rick,
person that
me-
she's
On the night
investigated.
of,
Yes. It's
so
what it's
how
always
do
been.
I have any,
It's always been that way. That's why.
how do I have
Yeah, but
any
what-
notification of whether or not I wanna vote for him? Because I don't have any background knowledge on Brian. I have none, other than the fact that he was being presented that night.
I don't know why, I
I
just
don't
don't understand
have-
why you don't wanna change.
Oh,
I mean,
I don't
other
mind change at
townships,
all, John,
other-
and you know
I mean,
that.
I-
I'm a very advocate
know.
for change.
I can maybe not see too much of the interview, but I think
All right, the thing of it is
the application,
it's right in the supervisor handbook that the supervisor can appoint and then
Yes.
the board
I
votes on it.
understand
Not
that.
just a minute, you know, I've been letting people do all their talking today. We just got done in this paperwork stating things had to be done 7 days in advance, 5 days in advance. So if and when the time comes that another person has to be appointed, all that's gonna be in there because we just got done stating that all the paperwork would be attached to the agenda and that gives everybody that many days to look at whatever I attach to it to tell who the person is and their qualifications.
I think
So-
that's good enough.
So
So
may
you're
I
gonna
add to that
attach-
though? What would have been attached? Do we have an application form? Do we have a resume? Do we have anything of the sort?
We can ask for it, I suppose, or she can write a
Because I
summary.
would like to have something stating why they're qualified or why they're interested or, you know, stating that, hey, I actually put my application in and I didn't just, you know, get asked to take the position, basically.
Well, at our last meeting, we had some people stating that they were interested and one of them I talked to after the meeting and I stated to him to give me a resume. I said, we don't have applications, you don't need to fill one out, just drop off a resume. Either drop it off here, drop it off at my house and I'll put it in a file, so, you know.
And that's still, in my
So-
opinion, that is still some sort of an application. It is some
Yeah.
sort of them coming out and saying, hey, I'm interested, you know, consider me.
I've seen other times when other townships have advertised because they can't get anybody to come forward to do it. And so Dave had that not too many years ago in his township in Dave Robertson. I've seen in other townships where they need, well, we advertised for a zoning administrator when we were looking at it, a zoning administrator. Walt was moving, and that's how we got Steve's resume. That was something between Gail and Steve. I think maybe Walt settled on it as a former, so he had an idea, but if we follow the policy for getting ready for the agendas and having a pack, then your stuff will be in there. I see no need for this. Twice a year during the months of January and September, the clerk will advertise. I see no need in that. If we can't find somebody to take and fill out a resume, give us a resume, aren't interested, then I can see it, but I don't see this.
Okay, so my next question becomes, can we get, even though Joan makes the nomination, can we get a list of everybody who submitted a resume? So that we know who else, we could have gotten.
I think that's up to her, but she presents it, that's her job. She presents it to you, it's in your packet.
To me, that's having a lot of power. I mean, what are you gonna, why hide it?
We're not hiding anything, John.
No, but I'm just
We have never
saying,
hid anything.
I didn't say that, what I meant, but why not just put them out who put in?
These are the
and
people
ones
that
you
are
put.
interested.
I
This
think
is
she's
the
gonna
person
pick for
where
that
I
group
choose.
anyways.
I'm just saying,
I think
if
we're
we could
opening
get a-
ourselves up for something
Why?
when we present that. Because you could have a very unqualified, uneducated person come in and want to be appointed, and how are you gonna state that why you rejected this person?
No, we're not rejecting anybody.
No.
We're not rejecting anybody. It would be Sally Smith,
Yeah.
Ben Jones, we'd have a list of names that these are the people that are interested in the position. Joan would pick one of them based on their applications or based on their resumes, whatever, and say, this is the one I'm presenting to be the next planning commission member or board of review member or whatever, because I believe they're the most qualified. We get to look at the applications and we say, okay, yes, we agree that this person's the most qualified, or
So if
no,
you think they're not qualified, now what does that entail then? Other than a no vote?
other
What is
than a
it?
no vote, nothing. It's just a no vote. It's, hey, I don't think this person is the most qualified, so I'm going to personally vote no. 3-2 can still take it.
I think the way we've been dealing is more than good enough. I don't think we need to go into, other than resumes that are presented, and she's already done that.
I have not seen a resume to this day, and I have helped you guys appoint 4 members of the planning
I
commission.
didn't know you had to see it. I thought she saw it. I didn't think it was any of my business to look at her resumes that
Well,
she's
I
received.
thought we're all together, supposed to be working together.
We are, John.
Yeah, but shouldn't we have the right to see who she's
It's
appointed?
it's her call. It's her call to present a candidate to the board. She sees the resumes.
But you're not understanding, like.
I'm leaving
even
it up to
amend-
her.
I know.
I don't
Maybe
think that, I don't
what do
think
you
that I
think,
have to
Joan?
be involved in one more.
How hard is it to put them down and say, hey, you got
This is
4
pretty
here?
entailed, John. This is pretty entailed.
I
This is
mean-
open
I can-
interviews and
I can modify this. This is why
I
we're
It's
here.
it's pretty simple if you stop and think about it.
oh, well,
This is why we're here, is to
Yeah,
talk
we're
about
not-
it.
We're not here to
So,
fight. and-
I'm
we
not
can,
fighting, John. I'm just
No.
saying, I think the way we've been doing it is fine. It's up to her discretion to interview them, to get their resume and then present. We all don't need to be involved in that process, other than the
We're not
presenting.
involved, but what
Well,
Amanda's
have you
trying
read
to
this?
say.
Have you
no.
read this, John?
What Amanda wants
There's
is,
a lot of things that.
yeah, I read this stuff.
okay, can we just go through it?
Sure.
So, general purpose, to establish a consistent method of handling the appointment or hiring of members of various township boards and or commissions and or employees. Does anybody disagree with that? That, you
I
know,
think we already have one in place.
I would like to see it, but okay. Summary state of policy. Where mandated by state law, public act, or adopted ordinance, applicants for each commission or board shall meet specific requirements for said commission or board. Where not mandated, applicants shall be considered primarily based on interest, experience, or past or current involvement in township activities. All applicants for township boards and commissions shall be interviewed in accordance with the written procedures designated in this policy.
Interviewed by who?
We can delete that part if you would so choose. We don't have to have interviews.
No,
I don't care one way or another if we
Just
have interviews.
what
I
you-
just want
I think it's more
applications.
micromanaging when we are, looking at doing interviews and all of that. That's this board is micromanaging your supervisor's position on appointing people to a board.
Okay, then she can take whatever action she sees fit to pick out of a designated list, okay? So we'll delete the all applicants for township boards or commissions shall be interviewed in accordance with the written procedures designated in this policy. We'll delete that part.
Well, I think that I wanna go through all of this and check on things before we
With it being totally new, I
go
think
through
we need
anything.
to see what the law,
And that's fine. I
I
tried
say,
to give this to you guys a month ago, so that we could be
I
doing
say
that.
table this part and go on to the next. It's 4 o'clock almost. I don't think we should go past 5. Rick's ready to go at past 4, 2 hours is.
Can I make a suggestion before I go? Because I would like to go, just a suggestion. Would I be allowed to do that?
Comments at the end of the meeting.
We'll go ahead and get it done.
I'd say go. Do it.
I'm just making a suggestion. Back on the $1,000 special meeting thing. For me, as a resident of this township, I think maybe consider, like it's $300 for you guys. To me, to put out $1,000,
$400 if it has to be published in the paper. That when we publish
so
the,
that's $700.
700.
I mean, can you come up with a formula? It just sounds a little bit, to me, like you're trying to make money off the
No,
residents.
believe me, I'd rather
I
not have
would
a special meeting.
suggest maybe that you come up with a figure that doesn't look like you're trying to make money off the resident, that's all. And the other thing, how do you know, my husband has a regional planning degree from Grand Valley State University.
no,
So how would we know ahead of time, just as you think about it for future, he would have wanted to know about it, but we didn't have a knowledge that there was going to be an opening. So he had no foreknowledge to consider being on it, and he's highly qualified.
That's another thing, is it hasn't,
We
no one in
can't-
the public knew about it.
I would suggest maybe thinking about adapting your policy to add something where a qualified person would have foreknowledge that an opening is coming.
Especially one that,
Because he's
tried to
very
recall us 2 months ago. You want him sitting on a board with your board? When a new president
Nancy,
goes
that
on,
doesn't have anything to
listen,
do
when a new
with it.
president,
all right,
when a new
that's
president.
it, that's it, that's
It
it,
doesn't have
that's it.
anything to do with his qualifications, Nancy. This
That's
is-
it. We are done with this conversation.
Just a couple suggestions, that's all I have.
Can't shut up.
Thank you.
What did you say?
I said you can't shut up.
All right, we need to stop.
Excuse me?
All right, this meeting's adjourned.
What did you say?
I need a second on that.
You told me
I
to
second
shut
it. I
up.
never did.
Hey, it needs to stop. I make a motion to adjourn, seconded by Rick.
We're
All
not
in favor, say aye.
We're not done, we're not even done.
No,
Opposed, nay.
This is crazy.
yeah, it is. We should have been able to sit here
That's right.
as a board and take care of this, which we knew there was no way to go through all of this.
Comments, I'll be coming.
Public comment.
Yeah. Actually, I have a few comments on this. It's kind of dry stuff, so bear with me. In regards to the planning commission, an appointment, I looked up the Michigan Planning Enabling Act, Act 33 of 2008, and that covers how the planning commission members are appointed. In section 125, 3815, section 15, number 1, it says, in the municipality, the chief elected official shall appoint members of the planning commission subject to approval by a majority member of the legislative body, which is the board of trustees, and survey. Doesn't mention, I read all 14 pages of this whole act, pretty dry stuff, but it's really a codified act, is what it is, from MCL. And it doesn't mention any interview anywhere in there or application. Now, one thing to bear in mind, this I can't speak with the exact MCL, but I do have knowledge on this. I was a union rep over 20 years of my life, and I've dealt with this issue before in terms of applications and kind of what you're dealing with. Once somebody fills out an application, one thing to bear in mind, it becomes part of that person's personnel file. Okay, an application is now part of a person's personnel file. I file grievances on people trying to access information at one. In order to anybody to access anybody's personnel file, it can only be personnel by, you have to have a designated personnel official that can only access that information because it's confidential. The only thing that the public can know from an application is name, position, and pay. That's it. In order to find out any information for any application, you have to file a paper and determines you have to have a demonstrated need for any other applicant, for any other information, and it has to be approved by the personnel office manager, the one that's designated. Now this is how it works for the Michigan state government, and I have extensive knowledge in this. So that's one thing to bear in mind, that it is now part of it. I don't know if you keep personnel files here. You'd have to create a personnel file, have a designated personnel. I don't know who that would be. You'd have to, yeah, and that was the only person that has access to that information other than name, position, and pay. Another thing to have to, you have to know that most of this information, other than these three things, are FOIA exempt. Okay, so now I don't know how you would get around the interview process. I guess one thing might be to consider, and I'm just freeballing here, is to maybe ask the person information, or you could have talked to me and asked me anything. I'll answer, look the questions if that's what you want.
I didn't know that you were even up for,
Okay,
that's what I'm saying.
But see, like the Michigan Planning Enabling Act doesn't require that. Now, how to get around that, I'm not quite sure.
It doesn't require it, but
No.
wouldn't it have been nice to be informed that you might have been on the planning commission so that I could have asked you questions? I didn't know until that night.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, this is what the act says.
Which act are you?
Michigan Planning Enabling Act, Act 33 of 2008, 125.3815, section 15, number 1. And this is what, so it's the chief elected official, which is supervisor, and approved by a majority vote of the legislative body, which is defined in the act as the board of trustees.
No, because I'm not sure that affects townships.
Yes, it does. It does.
Because
It's absolutely right.
Most of.
No, it specifically addressed townships.
Yes.
It addresses, okay, yeah,
Zoning enabling act.
municipality is defined as townships, and it has an fifth definition.
No. Exactly what the law states, is that the supervisor, yeah, but it does cover townships. Yeah. It's a little different because this is for the planning side.
I have other real quick points to kind of to speak to shed some light on it, maybe not. In the meetings act, when you go to 2.2b, you guys go to 2.2b, it says, and I know the MCL, you're correct, and the MCL, correct. It says, special meetings of the township board may be called by the supervisor and the present two members of the board of trustees when they're scheduled at a regularly scheduled meeting. What the purpose for the meeting has been identified. I would say this is not artfully written, but it satisfies both that the supervisor can what it's saying is 2 members of the trustee would be 2. The supervisor would call it, that would be the third. It's not artfully written, but it does satisfy the MCL.
Yes, but the MCL specifically states that 3 members can call it. 3 members, by submitting a request with signatures, a written request with signatures, can file that with the clerk, and then the clerk must call that meeting, not the supervisor.
Okay.
So that's what the MCL difference was.
Okay.
Was that the supervisor can call a meeting when they see necessary, when deemed necessary by the supervisor, they can call a meeting without any other approval. And the supervisor can call the meeting when it's already pre-planned at the last, at a board meeting, which is what we did with this one.
Okay, but I do agree that it's rather clumsily written.
Yeah, which is where I tried to
I
update.
do agree with that. Also, I had a question in 2.5D, but I think we handled it in 12 minutes. In as far
Yes.
as 2.5, you say public comments, also another one, so you have to go to K, any citizens desiring public comment shall be requested to first state their name and address for the record. That actually cleaned up a little bit because it says you shall be requested, so you can request it, but somewhere here you have to put, they must state their name. So that is rather clumsily written, but the way it's written and interpreted, yeah, you can request it, but I don't say my name.
But like Steve said when he was looking at the Open Meetings Act, I can't remember what it's called, but the Attorney General goes through that and makes their own recommendations based on what the act states. The handbook, the OMA handbook. He said that that goes beyond the scope of attendance, so that the board can make it a requirement that they state their name.
Again, I was just thinking, I will email that out to everybody.
I've got it printed probably 20 times already. I've got everything printed out.
Fine.
You can email it to everybody else if you like. But no, you are correct with the appointments policy. I was just stating because I didn't know. Nobody told me, so I didn't know the questions to ask. So I was kind of taken aback, and hence why I'm saying if we have a policy in place,
Okay, there's also,
with me or everyone.
if you want to, there was something else,